Sorry, can I just pick up on something there that you said around the Phase B instruction, which I think we're all aware of. Are there any damages for delay in the original contract?
The contract has liquidated and ascertained damages contract clause.
Okay. No unliquidated damages up to this point.
That is the sole. Yeah. The sole remedy for the employer is through the LADs.
Okay, but obviously, if Phase B if that case is successful, that those liquidated damages in the contract go to the.
Well, that would be a very big.
That would be a very big, because that's the chief point at which the state might recoup some of its costs.
Well, we're currently going through a process. We have put the contractor on notice of our intention to apply liquidated damages. There are 3 sets of liquidated damages under the contract. There's the works itself of the NCH. There's the family accommodation unit works, which is the preparatory works on which another contractor builds the buildings or the foundations. And the third one is to do with the hub rooms that Phelim referred to earlier. The ICT hub rooms is a separate sectional completion. So we have indicated our intention to enforce the contract and the LEDs on those 3 areas. And the contractor has now already referred to conciliation 2 of those. So we're already in dispute on the contractor effectively questioning or refuting the development board's right to assert its rights under the contract on that topic.
Okay, and in terms of the liquidated damages, the sum, is that comparable to the 15% that you were talking about in your opening statement?
They're different for each of the 3, and they have different glide paths and different things. We have the data, and if you really need it,
sorry, just to be clear then, how are the liquidated damages set out in the contract? Is it a particular sum per day?
It's a per day, per week. I can't. There's a calculator there.
There's a calculator there. So there's a formula.
There's a formula. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have access to the formula to see it?
Well,
you'll have a think about that.
We can see it. Look, the Public Works contract has this as standard, but the specific implementations vary.
There's deviations from that.
But we have it, and we have shared this, I believe, with the Public Accounts Committee. Okay. So of course we can share it. Yes.
Okay. And sorry, just then to stay on that issue. I mean, in your statement, you say the MPHDB has applied all the levers available within the Public Works contract to get BAM to deliver on the obligations. Do you feel that those levers are enough?
Well, I'd love to comment on that, but we're in the contract. That's what we have. But outside of the contract, it's about engagement and trying to find a way, as Deputy Cullinan suggested. Would we engage? Yes, we have engaged, and we will. But that's a negotiated or an alternate dispute mechanism type approach.
Not a question for you. Possibly a question for the Department of Public Expenditure about whether contractors who behave in a certain way are precluded from future contracts.
It's a huge question. Absolutely.
Yeah, a question that really we should be talking about more. Sorry, just to be clear then on one other point before I get to a different topic. BAM, you said BAM were meant to produce a compliant programme for this Monday, but last Friday,
7th,
and now you're expecting it next Monday.
What I'm expecting it next week are the precise words that I was told.
Was BAM aware that you were coming into an Oireachtas Health Committee to discuss this issue?
I would be 1,000% confident that they are aware.
Did you mention to the senior person in BAM that you were coming into an Oireachtas committee? They're well aware.
They mentioned it to me. So
they mentioned it to you. So they were aware that it was due last week. It's coming next week, and in the interim, there was a session discussing this very issue. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. So could we? I unfortunately want to go to digital healthcare records and that contract. Is that contract signed at all?
That's CHI's. That's the CHI side of the house.
So you're not aware of anything?
I'm sure we could comment on it, but it would be better if CHI was commenting on it.
Are you aware that the contract is signed, though?
Is it signed? Do you know?
Yeah, I believe it's signed, yeah.
It is signed? And it's signed with Epic?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know when that was signed?
I don't know the exact date because of CHI.
We should stay out of CHI's business.
Okay, well, we'll ask CHI when they come. I have plenty of questions around the Epic issue. So, sorry, did you get a response from BAM on your correspondence with them on the withholding of 15%? We've had, I would say, endless correspondence on these matters, right? So the situation with the 15% is we have done this before a number of years ago. It's been through the conciliation and a decision from a conciliator, and I think it went to adjudication. Okay.
Right? So it's pretty, but we don't have a great degree of doubt that we will be able to enforce that 15%. But it starts at the end of July on that valuation certificate.
Is it fair to say that that is all in the hands of their legal team now, that they are not communicating around that issue with you directly?
Well, look, we will be, we'll be sitting down with BAM next week, and I'm sure we regularly sit down and these issues come up. Look, I will make a practical statement that you certainly will understand. We're at the point where we want the contractor to make more and more progress. Yet the only sanctions that the contract allows us is to withhold money from the contractor at the time that they need the money.
Okay.
So we have to be very measured and reasonable and fair in decisions that affect that cash flow. And we need to think that that may have some further unfortunate consequences on actually achieving substantial completion. We have to take all of this into account in making these decisions. So I just make that general point, Deputy Hourigan.
Okay, can we go back to the issue around the completion of rooms and snagging, just so I have a clearer understanding of it? There are quite a large proportion of rooms that are not complete, but 607, was it, that have been offered up by BAM as complete. Could you just give me a little narrative understanding of they're offering them up? How long is the process for you to sign off on them? If they're not being signed off, is there a running thread here where there is some particular issue or particular snag that keeps coming up? Is it something to do with change orders? Could you just explain what is actually happening there?
Okay.
Or is it simply low productivity and things are not moving along?
Okay, so there's an agreed room completions process agreed between our design team and BAM. And it's not that the design team are signing off on the rooms, because those rooms don't actually get to fully signed off or hand over until substantial completion. But what the design team do is to assist BAM. They go in, they inspect them and say, yeah, this is what we expect in terms of compliance with the works requirements, in terms of the elements of those rooms that are being offered within the inspection. Because in the inspection, there might be one or two exclusions from that, which they will come back and do at a later date. So basically, they don't get handed over after substantial completion. And so there are a number of issues, but we're working with the contractor. As we in the development board with our design team are the guardians of quality in this project, to ensure that the state gets a hospital that is fully compliant and is of the highest quality. That's what we're striving for. So we work with BAM in terms of then.
My question is the magnitude of the snagging. Is there a running theme? Is it resulting in significant change orders, or is it just a standard snagging list that's being worked through, which I know can take forever? It
varies from, like, we had an awful lot of snags identified as part of the 27 rooms, but that's now they are now got to a point which they're accepted. And there's lessons learned in terms of the process at the early stages. We found this in other processes we had on quality in the project. But that's us working with the contractor, us, the design team, working with the contractor to ensure that we get the highest quality building.
Okay. And then, sorry, in the time I have left, can I ask about the family accommodation unit? Could you just take me through that tender stage and where we are with that? So it's gone, the preparatory works on site are done.
Yeah,
by
so BAM are responsible for doing the basement. That's built. And
it's a separate basement, or it's a shared basement with the campus in general?
It's a separate basement, but it has interconnectivity with the Children's Hospital. So you can
physical interconnectivity of services?
It has interconnectivity with the Children's Hospital. So you can walk straight in through the basement car park into the hospital,
Okay, and sorry.
And then the next stage is then we're out now to tender under a design and build contract for the superstructure of the building. Okay, on e-tenders. Would BAM be tendering for that, do you know? BAM haven't tendered for it, no. Okay, just wondering.
If they did, I don't think we would have grounds not to exclude.
Well, they didn't apply.
No, but this is my point, and I know I'm not making comment or asking for a question from you, but just for the record, there's nothing to stop BAM tendering for this, and there's nothing in the current situation that would preclude them from tendering or even mark them down in the tender process. There would be nothing in terms of the point scoring that I have the right understanding of that, right? There's nothing in the current point scoring that goes on during tendering, as in you have this type of turnover, you have this level of insurance, that would stop BAM winning this tender if they had applied for it. That's correct, right?
That's my understanding.
Yeah, okay. And then finally, sorry, what stage do you expect that tender to come back? It's due back around the mid to the end of August. Okay, mid to end of August, and then give me a time frame in terms of how long it will take.
We would hope that we
review.
would have it evaluated in September, a point in October, because the design and build is a pre-construction, so we expect it to be on site towards the end of the year or early next year.
Okay, and there wouldn't be the same level of kind of commissioning, or there's not an 18-month run in it. This is
very simple.
fully complete.
It's accommodation.
It's like a student accommodation
Exactly.
or a hotel type accommodation. Yeah.
Perfect.
We're talking about 14 to 16. Sorry, probably 16 to 18 month build period as well.
Okay, so if it gets started around Christmas, is that what you said?
Yeah.
We're looking at mid-25 to have that up and running?
Yeah, early mid-25.
Okay, would we expect that to be in parallel with the opening of the hospital? That sounds similar time frame. I'm not walking you into a trap. I think
and we're not walking into it.
Okay.
Nice try.
Yeah, it was. Thanks, Chair.
Just on the same issue.